Good afternoon, Trent.
Hello, Sravan. Thank you for having me.
No, appreciate your time. This is fun. This is our second of Future of Work series, and as a founder of Divergence Academy, I get to chat with talent acquisition specialists, human resources, CIOs across the country on two areas essentially. One is solutions for the last mile in hiring entry-level talent, IT talent. And then the number two is attracting and retaining diverse and veteran candidates. Those are my two big topics for Future of Work series. And I'm so excited that you and I are chatting about how this works for you at NetApp. But before we get started on the NetApp side, can you share a little bit about your role at NetApp?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So I can share a lot just by starting out by saying I do love what I do. I've been passionate about enabling people to find their dream job, hopefully their dream career for a lot of years, as well as lead people that are passionate about doing the same thing. So I've been doing this at Cisco and recently at NetApp, for the last 14 years in total. NetApp understands that having teams of a great mix, right? A mix of genders, ethnicities, ways of thinking, different personalities. There's different teams, like what we call balanced teams, leads to great business outcomes. So in NetApp, my role focuses on increasing great candidates across a mix of different people, veterans and transitioning military being a large one of those, and hopefully converting those folks into full-time hires. So, my job is all about finding diverse groups, underrepresented groups in NetApp,
Sure.
and inserting them in the NetApp to ultimately be hired.
That's awesome. Whenever I start this conversation, for me, it comes down to what can an organization like Divergence, who's into boot camps and immersive programs in cyber, help individuals, both underrepresented as well as veterans, get into organizations like yours. I know you have a good workforce, a veteran workforce at NetApp. Are there programs, or can you talk about programs, what veteran programs are working for you that others in the industry can learn from?
Yeah, so, there's a bunch, but we have, there's so many different ways we do outreach. But one thing that I'm most proud of at NetApp is we do have a business employee resource group. It's called NetVets. It's our veterans resource group. It's comprised of veterans that are NetApp employees, as well as allies. But we do a lot of great things. In talent acquisition, we do a lot of events where we will partner with NetVets, and we just do tons of recruitment. As you all know, anytime you go to an event, it could be transitioning military, it could be university, who knows what it is. It's great to have folks that the candidates you're trying to recruit can relate to. So, when we bring NetVets around, it just makes the events so much better. We do a really good job at recruitment. Talent acquisition comes in and plays a big role, again, along with NetVets. We make sure that our hiring managers are very excited and that they're allies. So it's a good, combination of a lot of different folks in the recruitment point of view. And then there's also the inclusion piece, right? Because it doesn't matter how well you recruit. If you can't keep these folks at your company, it's, again, and you're missing those balanced teams if they leave. Right. So it's also inclusion at every stage, from talent acquisition into your employee resource groups, into your, your leadership teams,
right,
and the like. So yeah, sorry, a little bit long-winded there, but it's a combination.
It's interesting, right? You said it's not just about acquisition; it's also about inclusion at every stage from a talent acquisition process. Last time you and I chatted briefly, we talked a little bit about Fort Bragg, that's because your proximity to North Carolina, right? Fort Bragg. Are there events there that NetApp goes through?
Yeah, great question. So there's, and again, we're blessed in North Carolina, right? Like a lot of states are. We have Fort Bragg, we have Camp Lejeune, and pre-COVID, we being talent acquisition, hiring managers, NetVets, allies, the like, we would go and we would attend events at base, transitioning military events, veteran events, anything we could do. And again, it's a combination of greatness, right? It's great for the folks transitioning. It's great for the veterans. It's great for the companies based on all the intangible assets that they bring. So since COVID, we do a lot of virtual events. Gosh, Holvet is one group that we partner really tightly with. MSSA, right? The Microsoft Software and Systems Academy has a lot of virtual events we can do. There's tons of them out there that NetApp partners with. I'll say takes advantage of, for lack of a better word, and hopefully other companies do as well. But per your question, it's a combination of on-site events, you know, when things loosen up a bit, as well as virtual events. Anytime we see those, we take advantage of those.
There was another one. I forget the conversation. It's called S3, right? S3. What is S3?
Yeah. S3 Academy is a big group at NetApp. It's the sales, support, and services.
Okay.
So it's those three groups, and we've got a targeted program that hires in cohorts. So and S3 is great. It's an outstanding program. But again, they hire in cohorts, and we hire a lot of veterans and transitioning military and spouses into that program. The veterans are so successful. The program really does help with their transition. It gives consistent training. It gives enablement for veterans and all new hires. And again, veterans really love it because, again, I think a lot of times veterans and transitioning military, they see technical companies and they think, oh, that's not for me. I'm not technical. But there's actually a lot of great roles that they can get into, right? And Sravan, I know you know, you've seen it. I mean, I can't tell you, like when I was at Fort Bragg and this gentleman was talking about NetApp's not for me, but I wanted to come by and say hello, asked him what he did. He said he repairs helicopter engines. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, if you are not, clearly you do support, clearly you can troubleshoot. We will give you the tools through the S3 Academy to make you an outstanding technical support engineer. Right. So that's just one example of how S3 Academy can, you know, enable folks transitioning, veterans, transitioning military, and non into a technical company.
No, that's actually a wonderful way for a lot of veterans to get into any organizations, which is start at the support level, understand the product, where the product issues are, and then if you know the product and product issues well, you can actually support the sale even better.
You got it, yeah.
And I think it just takes a little bit of a enterprise view and getting into an organization and then learning from it. Sounds like S3 provides that opportunity.
It does, and I'll harp on it just a little bit longer because this was one of the S3 program and helping to build it is one of the things that brought me back to NetApp. That's our overall early career program, which I'm not saying that folks transitioning out of the military and veterans are non-technical. I mean, there's plenty of folks who can go into very high level roles in NetApp. Sure. But for our early career programs, which we define as people with 0 to 5 years of applicable experience and the role they're going to go into, it's traditionally been about 10% of our total hires each year, but it's growing and growing with ambitions of doubling at NetApp. So the S3 Academy program, again, like we were saying, it's outstanding as it gives that holistic and immersive training plan to its hires. Again, many are transitioning military. And it gives them an immediate community, which is a big deal. It gives them that immediate community in that cohort, sometimes up to 50 people, and NetApp benefits, again, because we get all those, you know, those intangible skills that we know about, right? Solid work ethic, ability to get the job done with little to no supervision, you know, the whole 9 yards that we have, the loyalty to the team that we all know about.
So how frequently do these start? I mean, is there a term dates or start dates? For
Great question. So we try to do, and gosh, I wish the leader of the program on this call. Normally it's 3 cohorts a year. They're 90-day periods. So, you know, we'll do 3 months. We'll take a little break. We'll do a normal 3 months, take another break, and another 3 months. And what's even cooler in some aspects, Sravan, is these will be global cohorts. So there will be folks from Asia Pacific, Europe, the US, all in the same room, all at the same time. Again, right now these are virtual, but when COVID lightens up, I anticipate these will be back in the office again.
Wow, you know, it's like almost like diversity plus. You know, you got international talent, you got veteran talent, you got people coming in for 90 days. That's an awesome.
Like you said, all those different mindsets.
Perspective, correct?
Yeah.
But S3 doing so well at NetApp, does it change how you do your university outreach? Does it have an impact on your university outreach strategy?
Yeah, oh gosh, I mean, it makes it more competitive, which is a good thing for NetApp. I mean, again, before we were early career, we were a university relations group for all of our entry level talent. So, in a positive note, that's still a large population of our hires at the early career side is going to be university grads, undergrad, master's, PhD, MBA.
Sure.
But we also do have now, for example, veteran talent coming in, transitioning military talent coming in to fill these roles, returnships, right? Again, the moms and dads who have taken time off to raise a child or care for a loved one, and they took time off of work to do that for whatever the case may be. It's made it a more robust platform. It's made it a more robust candidate pipeline. And again, in the end, better hiring decisions are being made.
So what you call it, what, returnships? Is that like people who like boomerang that come back?
You got exactly. Yep.
Wow. 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 That's awesome. I mean, it's a wonderful way to take a short break and come back in and help the organization out.
Yeah.
Last year was nobody wants to remember 2020. We want to move forward quickly from 2020 and get started in the hiring frenzy, get that started. But there's also been I would say an expectation in the industry and from the leaders like NetApp to kind of focus on a lot more inclusion.
Yeah.
I call it calls for social justice. More. It's employee resource group is not just a nice thing to do, but it's kind of important to have it as part of a larger focus area. From I understand, and maybe you can tell me a little more from your perspective. What is that NetApp doing from building up that robust program for inclusion? Can you share a little more detail about how all that is kind of panning out?
Absolutely. So we do have, like I mentioned earlier, NetVets is one of them. We do have these business employee resource groups or employee business resource groups. Different companies call them different things.
Sure.
But we're in the grand scheme, we're trying to build communities that again help people come to be them full selves every day at work, even in a virtual community. So we have several. So again, I mentioned NetVets. We also have one called Luna, which is Hispanic. It's a Latinos United at NetApp. WIT for Women in Technology. NMBT is NetApp Network of Blacks in Tech. Proud, which is our LGBTQ. We're getting ready to form one called NetAbled for people with disabilities. We even have one for our early career group called NET. It's NetApp Emerging Talent. So we have all these communities, and I can't say it's a quality versus quantity. Different companies will say different things, right? But most importantly, you've got to know if you're a candidate looking that NetApp and several companies out there do have great communities, and whether you post these or not online is sometimes some companies do not, and I think that's a definite thing you got to do. But NetApp has some great ones. These are what we call, again, business impact groups. They are not owned by HR. HR is a major player to help them, help make sure they're successful. Right. NetApp has a global executive inclusion and diversity steering committee, as well as a global inclusion council, and they both set the strategy for diversity and inclusion in NetApp. And then we have these communities that I just mentioned and all their allies that actually execute on the strategies. So it's just, again, in summary, it's a very large group and big ecosystem of people that are very passionate about the greater good of the company and the greater good of our customers and the greater good for the community at large. And that's why they exist. And I'm super proud of that.
It sounds like there's no one size fits all. There are business groups that are channeling their budgets and energies to specific business employee resource groups and things like that.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
And each one of them, I'm guessing, also has you said steering committee, so there's executive sponsor for most of these ERGs.
You got it. Yes, and more.
And more.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I say and more. again, like you said, there's the executive sponsor bit. Those are critical. Help set the message,
Sure.
help to be the beacon or the barometer, for the rest of the employee base to focus on. Individual budgets are so important for these things because, again, to your point, it's not a one size fits all. And it allows the teams to invest in meaningful events. The strategy is key, in my opinion. It's so easy to set different strategies for these employee resource groups. You got to make sure you can actually execute on the strategies, right? It's saying it's very easy to try to conquer the world,
Sure.
and setting it in, like we call SMART goals, right? This includes budget and
Yeah,
trust.
my boss used to say, "Do not boil the ocean."
Right.
It's always, let's put something out there and improve upon it. And I think it's wonderful to have these programs, and there's focus there. That's wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are there components of ERG that, pick one or two, does not matter, picking all the attributes? These are attributes for success. Do you see them? Are there attributes that are driving towards that continued success?
Yeah, I mean, the trust has got to be the biggest one. And again, I've seen this not work at NetApp and in other companies. It's, everyone has to be on the same page, that we're on the same mission. We're going after the same thing, right? Because especially when you like we talked about earlier, all the different mindsets and diverse mindsets, those folks can come to different conclusions on, right, what the mission of the group should be, right? So that's trust in everyone that you're going after the right thing, that you're making an impact, that you're, I'm not going to say putting your investments in the right place, but just making sure that everyone's got the same mission is so, you talk about speed, right? And speed can be, Sravan can have speed going this way, Trent can have speed going this way, and you want to have velocity, right? Everyone has the speed going in the same direction. So that's why I think that trust is so, is probably, in my opinion, the most important thing.
I think you're saying, look, meaningful events, visibility, optics, getting in front, and in a lot of these different resource groups across the country. I think that's how you kind of drive success. Activity breeds more activity, and next thing you know is there is visibility to what you're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Now comes the hard part, right? I'm looking at it from a Divergence perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to help learners from our academy land into meaningful jobs for organization like ours, boot camps like Divergence.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do you have for the learners?
Yeah. So, and I kind of commented on the one already, but be sure to go to roles that might, I'm not going to say be sure to go after roles that are outside your comfort zone, but I'm going to say if there's something that sounds exciting, go after it, even if you don't think you're a total fit for it. That's what I mean by go for a role outside your comfort zone. I mean, again, for example, like we already discussed, technical companies, the product they're producing is technical, but they need sales. They need people to build the product. They need people to sell the product. They need people to support the product. They need marketing, HR, IT. I mean, all companies need this. So don't shy away from any company or any role just because you think you might not be a fit. Go for any role, especially with the back of our Divergence Academy, and having that good brand behind you. I'd say definitely please lean in on others, whether it be communities or recruiters or your transition office or that Divergence Academy, your spouse. Just don't go it alone. Asking for help in this case is not a sign of weakness, right? It's just a sign of efficiency, in my opinion. Learn from those who have been there and done that, and don't be afraid to ask for help. So yeah, that's gonna be my biggest advice is don't be afraid to go after roles that you might not think you're a fit for, and do not ask for help. Always ask for help.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And there's a lot of work out there. Profound wisdom there. Thank you so much, Trent. You know what? This is. I'm hoping whoever is going to receive this at the end of the recording and listening to this, they look at S3, S3, sales, services, support. Hopefully they got out of this, and do not be afraid. Go move forward. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.